Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. All glories to Bhagavan Shri Krishna Radha Madhava, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, by whose mercy we are able to understand the divine words of Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna, guys. So in this video we'll read verse numbers 23, 24 and 25 of chapter 2. So let's start with verse number 23 of chapter 2. So verse number 23 goes like this. Nainam chindanti shastrani nainam dahati pavakaha na chainam klediyantapo na shoshayati marutaha. Na, never. Enam, this soul. Chindanti, can cut to pieces. Shastrani, weapons. Na, never. Enam, this soul. Dahati, burns. Pavakaha, fire. Na, never. Cha, also. Enam, this soul. Kledayanti, moistures. Apaha, water. Na, never. Shoshayati, dries. Marutaha, wind. Right? So Bhagwan continues to say to Arjuna that, my dear Arjuna, the soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. So purport given by His grace. All kinds of weapons, swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc. are unable to kill the spirit soul. It appears that there were many kinds of weapons made of earth, water, air, ether, etc. in addition to the modern weapons of fire. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons, but formerly there were other weapons made of all different types of material elements. Fire weapons were counteracted by water weapons, which are now unknown to modern science. Nor do modern scientists have knowledge of tornado weapons. Nonetheless, the soul can never be cut into pieces, nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of scientific devices. The Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by the illusory energy. Right? So the Mayavadis believe, right, as per the theory of the Mayavadis, the individual soul came into existence. Why? Because of ignorance, right? And they are covered by illusory energy. But what's the reason behind this logic is something they fail to explain. Right? Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual souls from the original Supreme Soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the Supreme Soul. Because they are atomic individual souls, eternally Sanatana, they are prone to be covered by the illusory energy. Right? Because the atomic individual souls are eternally, right, they are Sanatana, they are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord. Just as the sparks of a fire, although one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of the fire, right? In the Varaha Purana, the living entities are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They are eternally so according to the Bhagavad Gita also. So even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains a separate identity, as is evident from the teachings of the Lord to Arjuna. Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna. Right? So guys, now we'll move to verse number 24. Verse number 24 goes like this. Achedyoyam adahoyam, achedyoyam adayoyam, akledyo shoshya evacha, nityah sarvagatasthānur, achaloyam sanatanaha. Achedyah, unbreakable. I am this soul. Adayah, unable to be burned. I am this soul. Akledyaha, insoluble. Ashoshyah, not able to be dried, eva certainly, cha and nityah everlasting, sarvagatah all pervading, sthanuh unchangeable, achalah immovable, I am this soul, sanatanah eternally the same. Right? So Bhagavan says in this verse, this individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Right? So purport given by His grace. All these qualifications of the atomic soul definitely prove that the individual soul is eternally the atomic particle of the spirit whole, and he remains the same atom eternally without change. The theory of monism is very difficult to apply in this case because the individual soul is never expected to become one homogeneously. After liberation from material contamination, the atomic soul may prefer to remain as a spiritual spark in the effulgent rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the intelligent souls enter into the spiritual planets to associate with the personality of Godhead. The word Sarvagata, all pervading, is significant because there is no doubt that living entities are all over God's creation. They live on the land, in the water, in the air, within the earth, and even within fire. The belief that they are sterilized in fire is not acceptable because it is clearly stated here that the soul cannot be burned by fire. Therefore, there is no doubt that there are living entities also in the sun planet with suitable bodies to live there. If the sun globe is uninhabited, then the word Sarvagata, living everywhere, becomes meaningless. So guys, now we'll move to verse number 25. So verse number 25 goes like this. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tashmad evam viditvainam nanusochitam arhasi. We'll read again. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmad evam viditvainam nanusochitam arhasi. Avyaktaha, invisible. Avyaktaha, invisible. I am this soul. Achintyaha, inconceivable. I am this soul. Avikaryaha, unchangeable. I am this soul. Uchyate is said. Tasmat, therefore, evam, like this. Viditva, knowing it well. Enam, this soul. Na, do not. Anusochitam, to lament. Arhasi, you deserve. Right? So Bhagavan says in this verse, it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So purport given by His grace, as described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. Right? As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul, although it is a fact by perception. Right? There are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. Right? No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Right? Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is the statement of the Vedas, and we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite supreme soul, right? As eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite supreme soul, right? The supreme soul is infinite and the atomic soul is infinitesimal, right? Therefore, the infinitesimal soul being unchangeable can never become equal to the infinite soul or the supreme personality of Godhead, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Okay guys, so guys, in the next video we'll continue from verse number 26. So before ending this video, let's revise verse numbers 16 to 25 quickly and get a knowledge on the nature of the soul, right? The nature of the soul as described by Bhagavan Krishna from verse number 16 to 25. Quickly we'll do that. So in verse number 16, Bhagavan says, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent material body there is no endurance, and of the eternal soul there is no change, right? Of the soul there is no change, of the material body there is no endurance. It is going to come to an end one day. So this they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Verse number 17, Bhagavan continues to say, that which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul, right? That imperishable soul cannot be destroyed, right? Then moving on in the verse number 18, right? In the verse number 18, Bhagavan continues to say, the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata, right? This material body is growing old day by day. Every moment it is growing old. So there is no need to lament, right? And there is no need to lament. So fight, O descendant of Bharata. Then we'll move to verse number 19. In verse number 19, Bhagavan continues to say, neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain, right? The self, the Atma, the atomic soul, neither it kills nor it is killed. Then in the verse number 20, Bhagavan says, for the soul there is neither birth nor death for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Then in verse number 21, Bhagavan says, O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? Right? Then in verse number 22, Bhagavan continues to say, as a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Then in the verse number 23, Bhagavan continues to say, the soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. Then in the verse number 24, Bhagavan continues to say about the soul that this individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Then in the verse number 25, Bhagavan says, it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body, right? So guys, as we saw from verse number 16 to 25, Bhagavan throws light on the nature of the soul, right? So guys, in the next video, we'll continue from verse number 26. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.